Hello and welcome to another video from the Fan Pub.
Yep, good to be back, and you've chosen a new topic today, which is interesting. I love talking about these players.
The first thing everyone tells you when you're drafting, especially when you're new, and it still holds true pretty much, always take a quarterback late. So this is a list of we've got 6 between us that are going QB 16 or below that you can target in your drafts that might deliver the points that you need to help your team.
Yeah, actually, you've hit on the perfect subject to talk about, because in the new way of thinking, because that's how I've kind of looked at quarterbacks now, and the new way of moulding my thinking to the new paradigm shift that is the NFL, the modern NFL after the wake of Andrew Luck's news. I think it's important to mention this because this is really important. So you have your top ones, and they've got to be top ones you trust, top ones you believe that can deliver those numbers. Then fair enough, get them early. If you believe in them and you want them, get them, right? So this is the Patrick Mahomes of the world. Or if you think this is Matty Ryan's another year, he's going to end up in the top 5, you believe that, you don't necessarily have to go early to get him, then don't. But plan your strategy around early or late. There is no middle ground, and it also illustrates one key point, right? So whereas before, I would arguably have said, does Sean Watson, top 5 quarterback, absolutely pay a high premium? Now, after what's happened with Andrew Luck, no, don't do it.
Well, they did most sacked quarterback last year.
Don't do it. So let it fall. If he's off the list, good, because that's how you've got to think now, because this is a new changing NFL. So we're doing the late ones. This is the ones where most drafters like to target, which Al says, and I'll kick off with quarterback 16. He's just outside the list number. It's Philip Rivers. Now, if and it is a bit of an if here, if the Chargers have to throw more because there is no Gordon, then there is no reason why this guy should not exceed 16. I mean, he's very, in the list of quarterbacks, he's woefully undervalued. I mean, 16 for Philip Rivers' services. He's a good passer. He's very accurate. It may not be the most exciting, but he is so steady at producing 17 and 18 fantasy points. And in fantasy, getting a guy down there late, and he will be late because a lot of people will leave quarterbacks till very, very late in your drafts. I like him a lot for this year. I think there's a lot of upside with this guy. And he seems to be coming to a point in his career where he's at the very height of his prowess. I think he's really at that very point where I just feel everything's ready for him for this year.
How does the Melvin Gordon situation affect Philip Rivers, though?
I don't think as a quarterback it doesn't affect you as much as you think, because the only thing that you want is a running back who can take pressure off you. That's what the running back does. He can get yards, take pressure off you. A handoff is the nicest play for a quarterback in the world. You've handed off. There's no you never get hit when you've handed off unless the running back runs into you. But it's the best play in the book. So obviously he'd be missed in that way. But they have some very nice players. Justin Jackson. They've got Eckler for the sort of short yardage sort of catches and stuff. So I think as a team, they're kind of the most set up for if Gordon misses time. I just feel the team can.
And Gordon did miss time, and the two of them filled in pretty well actually.
And Gordon is elite. I'm not saying a word that he's not. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in this situation, I think Philip Rivers is a beautiful late quarterback for a few reasons. Good schedule, looks nice. Situation looks good. You'll be in a lot of games where there'll be a bit of shootout. This should suit the quarterback well, and you should.
You're a big fan of Mike Williams, well.
I am, yeah. So he should benefit.
Well, we both are. So.
Yeah, should benefit well. So should Keenan Allen, and it should be a nice year for them. So that's my first.
My first one is QB 17. Actually,
yeah.
You may have heard of him, Tom Brady. He didn't have a good year last year.
Tom
Brady,
right, yeah.
Sure, he's played a bit.
Yeah, he played a lot.
He had off season last year, and
yeah.
if you drafted him high, you probably weren't very happy with his production. But no, you're not. You drafted him at QB 17. Reigning Super Bowl champions, high-powered offense. He might have Josh Gordon and Demaryius Thomas, who are two fine wide receivers from the past. We don't know how good they are this year, but they certainly. You've also got Julian Edelman. You've got James White, who catches a ball out of the backfield. You've got Damian Harris, a new rookie, catches it. You've got Sony Michel, who's even been doing some catching.
It seems almost criminal how much talent they've got on that offense and that offensive line. You are right to illustrate him as a potential candidate who can massively exceed the numbers.
I mean, he's been there before. He's been a top 5 QB before. So QB 17, I think it's worth a decent
They slice
shot.
and dice you to death. And so, by definition, it's steady fantasy points, and that's all you want. And at QB,
but there is an upside with Brady, I think.
Oh, there is. Yeah, there's no doubt, because they're going to get a lot of situations that favour them, and they'll just move the ball effortlessly up the field. It'll just be more. You'll see drives where he throws 4 or 5 times for 50, 60 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's wonderful. Wonderful. And it just look effortless.
Well, just when they knocked out the Chiefs, sorry Chiefs fans, to bring this up, in the playoffs last year, they got the ball in overtime. Brady just made it look so easy, no pressure, just threw the ball away at the field and basically put the game to bed.
He's the elite quarterback of his time period because of the fact the way he reads defenses. If you have no pressure coming, then that's that.
Okay,
and, he's supreme.
Let's move on to your next one.
There was one other thing. Sorry, just to put this in here, the most improved quarterback. Sorry, I forgot to mention this with Philip Rivers. The player that gets the ball out the fastest at the moment in NFL, Philip Rivers. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Brady must be close.
2.32 seconds on average now.
Oh,
That's how quick his release is now in terms of thinking and throwing.
It's weird because Brady's. Does that come with experience?
Then? Yeah, he's coming to the height of his game.
Brady's probably second or third.
They're the elite. All the good ones are in that. That close mix. Just thought I'd throw that in there because it's,
Eli Manning's about 5 minutes.
It could need that time to get rid of it. Yeah. So anyway, sorry. So I want to bring up my guy that we put on our sleeper list from last year, the one we talked about in Dynasty, and now everybody's talking about him this year, and that's Josh Allen. They have he has a very interesting chance. I mean, he's quarterback 20 on the list, so not even a quarterback that's going, most drafts 12 team, 14 team, he's a second quarterback for you, but with a big upside actually. So as a second quarterback, I'm not advocating your first, just as a second. You can mix and match the game scripts to suit how you want to run your team fantasy-wise. And this guy is a huge... So if you're up against a team you think, oh, this could be tough. I need points from positions where I might not normally get them. Allen's a great one to throw in if the game script looks like it's going to be a tough game for Buffalo. And there'll be a lot of tough games for Buffalo. But he can win you fantasy points with his legs. He's proved it now. We highlighted that in our video about how we saw elite footwork from the kid. No one else had mentioned this. No, none of the actual people who'd followed the college game had talked about it. Because I think what they hadn't seen was the guy's a pocket passer traditionally, but the way he shifts in the pocket, he's able to feel the pressure, so therefore by definition finds lanes. And I noticed this, highlighted in the video, and then he proved it in the NFL, which I'm really delighted about that. Now others are catching up to this kid, and if he can take a step forward, and as Al will always say, there's no reason why you shouldn't take a step forward.
Well, second year in the league, he's got...
that can bode very well for you fantasy-wise, and I think there's a very interesting player there that's got plenty of room to grow, so we'll see how it works out, but at 20, no problem.
Along the same lines, really, as your one, my second one is QB22 Sam Darnold.
Yeah, he's very interesting.
Yeah, second year in the league. I mean, the Jets, you think of the Jets, you think, well, that's not a very exciting offense. Well, they've got Lev Bell now, he's pretty exciting. They've got Robbie Anderson, if he can stay healthy, he can stretch the field. They've got Jamison Crowder, who's very good catching underneath, all the underneath stuff. He's like the Edelman role.
Got a good offensive line.
They got Quincy Enuma. They got good offensive line.
So for a quarterback, gives you a bit of time. So it's what you want.
He's got so he's got the weapons, and he's certainly second year in the league. He's entitled to improve.
See, for me, it's always about the line. That's why I think this is a great pick, because if you're your second year in, this is one thing that Josh doesn't have at the moment. It's improving, but it's not the same as the Jets. Arguably, the Jets' offensive line is very much up there in the NFL, one of the better ones. So you have a fraction more time, and that's huge in the NFL to improve. When you've got time, you have a bit more time to process. It's a split second is all you have, really.
Plus, you've got a running back that can do it all.
So there's no reason he can't take a jump up. And at 20, that seems very cheap. So, again, a great one to highlight. Second quarterback for you in a team that you can just roll in.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get top 5 numbers or anything, but he could get serviceable numbers.
But he could beat the 20.
A bit like the leap that Trubisky made last year. Where he can step up, he'll have some big games, I think, and he's certainly got the weapons if he's good enough, and I think he is.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that pans out. Okay, who's your
third? I was going to talk about Kirk Cousins. He's a little bit is near the same range as quarterback 19. We have him on this program every year, I think.
I think we probably are.
We're biggest fans, even though he's hated in fantasy circles, and it's purely because of what they can do. People forget that
real life QB is different to fantasy.
Yeah,
QB,
it's a completely different. It's a completely different thing. I think. If I put myself in his shoes, I think I would have been probably people that said, "Oh God, he's shit quarterback. He's rubbish." But actually, it's actually better than you think because of where he finishes. He will exceed. I mean, that's ridiculous because he was better than that last year.
No, I think he was QB 11 or something.
So he was better than that last year. He's 19. So how's he going backwards? You've just arguably lost one of the top quarterbacks in Andrew Luck's gone. So now he's 19 still. Well, that's crazy for starters. He should be moving forward. He was, he hasn't. His skills haven't diminished. He's got a playbook he's now had for more than a year. He barely had the playbook, and he had to implement it with players he wasn't familiar with. So, gotta give the guy credit to improve. I think Dalvin Cook's all the way back, personally.
Oh yeah, he's another weapon like Bell is for the Jets.
So
they can get
with
the
a good
ball.
line, and they have that, this guy can take a huge leap forward. So I'm very
And
happy
Diggs
picking
and
him
Thielen,
late.
not bad players, are
And
they?
as people's perceptions of him, rightly, I understand that they probably don't like the player and they'll swerve. You can capitalise really late as a second quarterback. I'm very happy to take him as a second. So that's why he's on the list.
Diggs and Thielen did pretty well last year. So
Did, yeah.
He must be doing something right fantasy-wise at least. Okay, the last one. He's interesting. He's certainly showed flashes. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's QB 27, Nick Foles.
Very
With
cheap.
the Jaguars.
It's very cheap.
And Blake Bortles, he used to be the king of garbage time, but he had some big weeks in fantasy. And Nick Foles is miles better than Blake Bortles. Unless you watch a good place, of course. That's where he's obviously the number one fan of that. But Nick Foles, I think he's a good quarterback. And they've got some weapons now with Westbrook. Lee's back. They've got Chart. They've got they've got a few players that can do really well out of that.
I think
Still got Keelan Cole.
I think he could be a superstar in the making, Nick Foles at Jags. I think it's something perhaps we should, we'll have to look back on this video and see how it plays out. But if you had to put a pin in a player that you could see absolutely ended up very close to the top 5 that comes out of nowhere, I'd say Nick Foles is a great shout.
He'd have a shot at top 10, I think, from QB 27.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it though, right? So defense very good, arguably very good. Gotta be.
Well, they're ranked 2, aren't they, in fantasy?
So gotta be good. So short fields. Has the quarterback got a metrics where he's done some pretty good things? He threw 6 touchdowns in a game. That don't happen by chance. He's
caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
He's done some pretty amazing things in a Super Bowl. Coming to
MVP.
Put a play in that the Eagles went with. It was a last-second play adjustment. He said, "Let me run that exact play. Let me catch the ball," and the coach said, "Put it in." That's trust, and that's a lot. That's not fluke. Quarterbacks that can get you to, as a coach, to go put it in. That tells you a lot about the power of the guy in the huddle and what the players think of him. And that must have been a death knell for New
Is
England.
QB 27 a bit disrespectful?
Very disrespectful.
Or is it just the unknown of a new
It's disrespectful. I mean, the guy should at least be. Look, we could argue: is Nick Foles better than technically Kirk Cousins' position? I think he should be. Is he better than Rivers' position? Probably not. But it's close, so he should be at least sort of 17 or 18. So I think it's disrespectful at this point. But personally, I think if you had to pick one that could come out of nowhere, I think it's a great shout-out.
I mean, especially if you're doing a 2 QB league, he's a great bloke to target late, even if it's second or third quarterback.
I took him in the best ball, if you remember, as the final throw of the best ball league, because I already had 2 quarterbacks, but I just wanted a guy that on any given week could blow up. So what's not to like? And he could have a huge week. I mean, I know there are some unknowns, but this is Nick Foles, and he's the kind of player that you underrate at your peril. So I like your pick.
Yeah. So I mean, you're not
no premium, no price.
Yeah, you're not blowing your draft on any of these because they're all going QB 16 or below, but they're just ones that we think might outrun their odds.
Yeah, very much.
Let us know, what do you think? I mean, is Derek Carr worth any good?
Highlight what you think. And Al says it's definitely worth. We always adjust to what your thinking is. We like to think, we have a lot of answers, but we do. If somebody picks something out we hadn't thought about, a schedule, something interesting, we're always willing to do it. And I have got a little extra bonus, if I may throw it in at the end of this schedule, just something for you to look at, go away and research.
If I say no, you're going to...
I'm still doing it. It's Jared Goff's first 8-week schedule. He is quarterback 9, but it's really good, and then the second half of the schedule is really rubbish. So have a think about that. If you're picking 2 quarterbacks, maybe use that to your advantage. Just thought I'd throw it in.
And then trade him halfway through.
Trade him. Yeah, get rid of. But really nice beginning schedule for throwing. Should be.
Anyway. Okay. Who are your late sneaky quarterbacks? Let us know. You've got plenty down there. Matt Stafford, Jimmy G. Can he bounce back?
Yeah.
Let us know. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and
see you on the next one.
Thanks very much for watching.